I showed this locomotive before when I got the decoder put in, and I said I may do a follow-up video, so this is just a quick follow-up of what I had done. I'd added some LEDs that you'll see lit up later. There's one under each corner of the cab here. There's one up under the top part of the ladder on both sides. And then the one that I'm prototyping this after has lighting, one above each main drive wheel, plus the firebox and the marker light. So you got your normal plug. I used to permanently wire these, but then it got kind of a pain to handle, and I could never put it away in the box. So I picked up the common power off this plug up inside the engine, and I'd gotten one of these real small connectors. It's the smallest one I could find. It's 4-pin, because I've got 4 functions: the firebox, the step lights, the wheel lights, and the marker lights. So these 4 leads are the negatives for those. I didn't want to get it backwards because the firebox LED has a red LED in it, and for some reason it takes a much higher resistor, or it's going to blow it. And so what I did, see if this thing will pick it up. Yeah. The other end of the connector is right there, where we've got the, this is kind of hard to do, put my thumb just under it. There we go. That's the other end of the connector. And what I had done is just kind of saw a tiny little opening and fit the connector in there. Sawed both sides and just kind of cut an opening. And then the wires that come out, there, that's a better shot. I drilled separate holes. Come on. Thing really doesn't focus well at all. I have the 4 wires coming up from there. That's all glued in. It's in there nice and secure. Now what I was worried about is if I plug this in the other side, that if I flip it around the wrong way, it's going to blow the functions will all work. They just be different numbers. Some people said, well, just put a little dot on the side or whatever. And that wasn't quite enough for me. I wanted to make it just a little bit more, I guess, idiot proof. So if I were to try to plug this in this way, it just won't go in, because I've added this little shim underneath, and that way it will only plug in this way, because of that plastic piece being, in the way. And I can still get it off if I plug it in. It could be 1 off or 2 off, one way or the other, but I still feel better about the way I've got this. I might rethink something to make sure, like put a little tab down here to make sure I can't do that, to have it off by 1, because it would do the same thing. It would blow that firebox LED. And now that it's all together, I really don't want to have to take it apart. Some of these wires, I would have to go in, and anytime I have to take the body off, you'll be able to see it. But back down in here, I've got a little solder joint with heat shrink on it, and I would have to undo that And then the rest will come apart fine. The wheel lights aren't tied to the body, they're tied to the main part, so it'll still come apart relatively easy. But anyway, that's what I did to get the 4 extra functions. So you can see the firebox, hopefully, down in there. I use a piece of foil and I wadded it up real tight and then mostly unfolded it, but not completely. And there's a red LED that's kind of down below it, aiming up at it to get that effect. And then on the prototype that I was modeling after, there's where they had lights on theirs, and their lights, I know on this camera it's just like the diesels, it shows a bit of a blue hue to it, but they are true white. They don't have that bluish hue when you're looking at them in person. So at the top of the stairs in the front here, and then under the 2 cab bottom corners. So those 2 I got on function 24, and then the steps on 25. 26 are the wheel lights. And then finally, the marker lights, I just took my time. It didn't take as long as I thought it was gonna, but it was still pretty tedious. The marker lights, I was gonna use a different brand, like a casting type, to put in there. But if you look at this from the front, I don't know how well it's going to pick it up. Yeah, I guess you guys, well, could. The yeah, it's having all kinds of trouble focusing. There we go. All right, so what holds the marker lights there come down on like a 45-degree angle on both of them, and there's nothing out there that I saw that had that. So I very carefully took the original ones, and I did order some like caboose marker lights, and I was gonna use that and sand it out and all, but didn't have to. I was able to use these. So I drilled holes, one in the front and one in the side, and the only thing I used out of the kit was the green and yellow or amber, and there they are. Since I'm doing this off a cell phone, even though it's a good cell, there we go, that looks better. Yeah, I'm in the middle of talking bad about it now. It finally works. So I normally can't get up close, but I wanted to show what the final how it looked when it was finished. I think since these do stick out above the wheels, the wheel lights, they can kind of float some, and I don't like that. So I'll probably get some very, very small, stiff wire and run it straight across. So this one just beyond where it's soldered, I'll run a straight wire all the way over to the other side and then glue it on the top, because there's a gap, and that will help hold the all the lights in the right position. Now the very front one doesn't go through. That's, I think above that is where the worm gear is for the drive. So anyway, that's how it ended up. We got the firebox on function 24, the step lights on 25, wheel lights on 26, and the marker lights on 27. For those, I saved the best for last. Now I did have to put just a dab of clear yellow and clear green, because for some reason the light coming through the lens just didn't, I wasn't real happy with it. The yellow looked very white, almost the way it looks on my cell here, but again, in true life, it's I don't think I can bring the, oh, maybe I can. I brought the color, the brightness all the way down. You still see, well, you can tell it's yellow, but before it was a lot whiter, and same with the front. Even though they're green crystals, they didn't look right. So a couple dabs of clear green and clear yellow clean that right up. And then what I did on the back side, you're not going to be able to see it, but on a 45, if we're looking down on this one over here, I had cut an opening that's just large enough to fit one of these LEDs, and it's a 1 millimeter by 0.5 millimeter. And so I ran the wires in kind of on an angle, same angle that the phone is, yeah, the same angle the phone is, and so it's coming in the back, shining out this way, and then this one is coming out kind of like at a 45. The LEDs are extremely bright, the ones I'm using, so I had to dial them down quite a bit, especially on the marker lights. And those lights that are on there now, the step lights and the wheel lights, they are programmed with the brightness control, so I can come in, see if it'll let me do that real quick. I'm pretty sure 62 is my wheel lights, so let's take it down to 20 and see what happens. See how much that dimmed it? That's down to 20. And of course, a phone isn't, or even a camcorder with that, for that matter. Yeah, you can see it. If I go all the way up to its brightest, there. I think I've got it at like 128, but I'm still gonna play around with it until, because it's still a bit brighter than the prototype. Let's try one more shot here real quick with the lights dimmed, which is going to make it twice as hard to focus on anything. Yeah, I'm going to have to give up on the firebox there. So there it is. It took quite a while to get to this step. The regular install wasn't bad. It's just all the lights that I added afterwards is what took quite a while. So anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.